Real quick before getting into today's video, man, I did record it a few days ago. So there's some things that I do say that are no longer accurate. Well, it's just some things, mentioning, of course, being able to pay to progress your player, which, EA listened. If, you haven't seen already in the last couple of days, they released a statement and whatnot, and they decided to go ahead and do the right thing and take these microtransactions out of Dynasty and Road to Glory, man. But yeah, I just figured I'd mention that here because I do talk about that a little bit throughout the video. So just kind of ignore those parts or, whatever. But I'm not going to redo the whole video just because they decided to do the right thing quicker than I expected. But they did it a little differently than I thought they would. I thought that they would leave them in and just give the settings back. So the settings aren't back in yet. I'm not sure if they're going to give them to us or not. For, the XP sliders, or, whether it's for Dynasty or Coach having faster progression or fastest. Yeah, I thought that they would just, bring back the settings and leave the points in there for people to still do it if they want. But instead, just completely taking the points out, or the purchase ability, and still not giving the settings though. I think there's a chance that they end up putting them in. It's just kind of weird that they're not, but they listened about getting the transactions out. But yeah, I just don't understand that, honestly. Like, just give us the settings. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. This is like a win for now, but there's still a lot of things that could go on over the next year or two that could steer things in the wrong direction still. It's just, we'll see how it goes, but at least a win for now. I just figured I'd mention it because I know I pushed a lot last week of, letting you guys know to not do this because I told y'all that something would happen. And yeah, I'm sure they were just trying to get as many people as they could early. I feel like that's all it was. And yeah, they completely take it out, which again, I would have been fine with them just giving us the settings. So I don't know, we'll see what goes on. I probably won't mention it much more going forward, maybe like one more time, but other than that, unless anything else happens with it, I'm just letting you know for this video. At least I recorded it a few days ago before the change happened, so some things are different than what I'm saying, or just ignore the parts where I'm bringing up, paid progression and all that good stuff. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into the video now. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Tyler here, and today I'm going to bring you some College Football 27 Road to Glory information. Not going to be no gameplay. This isn't an episode of one of my series. So if you're looking for that, of course, the links are in the description. For my tight end and free safety series, those are the two that I got going already. But today is like a sort of just like a how to get your Road to Glory started video. A few different things that you might want to do with the settings as you get going here on Road to Glory. Some things you might not know, some things you might need to work around, how to, set up your builds correctly with abilities and all sorts of other stuff like that. Your starting overalls for, depending on what star rating your player is. But yeah, we'll go over a lot of different things with how to, just get your Road to Glory started, everything you need to know when setting up your Road to Glory, so that way you can, get your best possible experience in the mode. Of course, hit that like button for me and subscribe if you are new. It is much appreciated. Of course, also the links in the description for my Twitch and my X or Twitter. Go follow those so that way you never miss when I'm going live, and other updates tweeted out on X as well. I know I mentioned the couple Road to Glory series I got going as well, but also linked in the description is my Dynasty rebuild series, which just started the last couple of days. So yeah, make sure you go check that out. Those will all be live streamed to YouTube. And one last thing before we get started. This isn't going to be something talking about all of the problems with the microtransactions and like my wish list for, what we actually need in the mode going forward and whatnot. This is literally just going to be about how to get started with your Road to Glory in College Football 27. Like I said, so you can get the best experience possible with what we're given, which unfortunately is not very good. It is what it is. They gave us a few new positions and decorated all these new practice drills and whatnot, but let's be real. Some of the stuff they said that they were implementing is literally not even there. And yeah, it's just a whole separate video that I gotta do. I was going to do that type of wish list video, months from now, but with how everything's went to start this game, you'll probably see that in the next couple of weeks from me, just going over all the issues in the mode and whatnot. But like I said, that's not what we're doing today. This is not the issues in the mode. This is not talking about the microtransaction stuff. Of course, it'll get mentioned slightly here and there, but yeah, let's just, like I said, with the way XP works this game, and not having the XP sliders to where you can progress your player faster or get XP quicker and whatnot, you're going to want to pay attention to when you start your player, what star rating you're picking, what overall they're going to be, because it's going to be quite a grind, man. And, if you want to start as a 2-star and end up as a 99 overall at some point, you're going to have to spend money. But like I said, we're not going over all that in this video. So let's just, stop wasting time. We'll go ahead and get started, man. Of course, you go click on Road to Glory. Go ahead and start it. So the most important thing when starting this, you see you have the option to import your high school team builder. But what I'm going to do is show you the setting for turning off the high school experience. I will also implement some different things on the screen throughout from my first couple creations, so that way there's actual examples going on of why, or what happens regardless of which way you go about your story. So turning this off would then take that setting away. Just so you know, you can still import team builder for a college. You can end up going to a college team builder school. You can still import that way. You can still do custom conferences and whatnot if you want to change some teams around and whatnot. But the main thing I wanted to talk about there with this high school thing is, if you play the high school experience, you will start your college career next season rather than this upcoming season. So that's number one. If you want to start in this upcoming season, then you have to skip the high school experience. And there you see that Heisman multiplier, man. You know I ain't playing around. Does that say tight end 4? Hell no. Bro, what type of cheese is that? Bro, what? What is going on? Where the hell is Bryce? Bryce Underwood done transferred to Texas Tech? Bro, why do they not have us start? Our freshman year should be this current year. Have our high school senior year be the past season. All right, so let's see the tight ends at least. So that's why I'm so low on the depth chart now, man. So if they didn't, they picked up all 3 of these guys in the portal. Literally all 3 of them. So had they not done that, yes, I would have been the starter right away. But they pick up 3 guys higher rated. At least 2 are seniors. So just remember that if you do high school, which, it's fun to do it even though the experience isn't that good yet. And it's copy and pasted from last year. So in case you don't know, it's literally just 5 high school games. You don't play the whole game. You get 4 moments per game. Sometimes you'll get a highlight moment from a certain team and whatnot. But yeah, you just get your same old minor objective and major objective. And the main difference there is you'll actually gain more XP for doing other things throughout your gameplay as well. It's not solely just tied to the 2 objectives you get per drive. So that at least is a little bit better. And if you play the high school, you can start as a 3-star. And if you play well enough, you can work your way to a 4-star or a 5-star, like I did with my tight end. But this is where the high school stuff comes into play. When you look at the recruiting for, while you're in high school, it's going to show you your projected depth chart, your projected role, all that good stuff. Tells you a little bit about the team, how good they are and whatnot. But yeah, if you do the high school experience, you are starting in 2027 rather than this upcoming 2026 season. So you basically have to just completely ignore that depth chart. Just ignore everything it's telling you, honestly. The recruiting process is honestly pointless. The only real reason to do high school is to kind of get used to playing the position and maybe gain some more XP going in as you start. But if you don't play it, you're obviously not gaining more XP because you're not playing the high school games and whatnot. But also, you could at least actually start in the upcoming season, and you'll have a more accurate projection of where you'll be at on the depth chart. It'll actually be true, and you'll actually start in this upcoming season like how it should be, regardless of if you do that high school experience or not. But yeah, basically the high school is basically just a tutorial at this point, and it's, if anything, it's kind of broken still, and it needs to be expanded. We need to play whole seasons and whole games and whatnot, and there's 17 other things I could say about the high school stuff, but that's not the point of this video. It's just basically going over how to start it. If you want to start in the current upcoming season, turn off high school. If you're okay with starting in the following season, then go ahead and do that high school experience. It's just, you gotta ignore the screens that's showing you during the recruitment process with your projected starting or second string, third string, forward bench, whatever they want to tell you. It's going to be completely wrong, because as you see in these examples for my tight end, we, pick up a bunch of transfers. The highest rated tight end there was a 74, and I grinded to become a 5-star from a 3-star, and that, puts you at 74 overall. So it would have been the starter right away, and instead it's a whole year later, and they picked up 3 other transfers from the portal that are higher overall. So had it just been this upcoming season, I would have been, accurately projected the starter and would have been the starter, or at least second, and had that early, position battle to be able to take that spot. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. It's not how it works, and apparently they think this makes sense, but it's very simple. Just have our high school season be the previous season leading up into this upcoming one. Also here, of course, you set your skill. One main thing they're pushing this year with, not having the XP sliders, they're like, oh, well, you'll get rewarded for playing on a higher difficulty. Well, guess what? That should always be a thing. It has been a thing and always should be. But yeah, at the same time, Heisman's only 1.25 times. You're getting regular XP at All-American, and at freshman you're getting half, and varsity you're getting 0.75. Which to me, that makes absolutely no sense. Of course, my camera's blocking it, but I read it off anyways, but there it is on the screen in case you wanted to see it yourself. But yeah, these should be up higher. Freshman should be 0.75, varsity should be normal, with All-American at 1.25 and Heisman at 1.5, at least, if you ask me. Like, this just completely takes away from, like, very casual gamers, or maybe people are, like, a lot older or a lot younger, or just they can't really go crazy or grind, or might not have as much time to play. They should be able to play on those lower difficulties, freshman or varsity, and not get these XP decreases. Like, they're basically decreases. Yeah, they're modifiers, but if it's below 1, you're basically getting less than what you should be. And yeah, I just think it's a little bit ridiculous that this is like the main thing they're pushing for that. But yeah, that's besides the point. That's just letting you know the modifiers for the different skill levels that you can play on. Of course, I'm on Heisman for everything. I've been playing on Heisman for 20 years, so yeah, the pre-order membership bonuses, of course, if you have them, you'll want to keep that on. Unless you're doing a story where you don't want those bonuses, then turn it off. Of course, you got your simple stuff like quarter lengths, accelerated clock, league advancement, wear and tear. And that's another thing, man. I don't have to hide the camera. You can see it there. There's modifiers for if this is on or off. If it's on, there's no modifier really at all. It's just normal. If you turn it off, you get 0.4 times. Jeez Louise, what did I say? 0.4 times the modifier. So, yeah, that's pretty bad. I wouldn't be as mad at that if you would at least give us like 1.2 maybe for keeping it on. Because the wear and tear in this game is insane. Like, my tight end, once I started starting, I'm basically having to put all my energy points into my health every week just to make it so that I can play with my attributes not having any decreases. Like, the wear and tear is insane. It's like every week you're having to deal with it. So if anything, you can at least mess with sliders. Actually, I don't know if you can in Road to Glory. I see they are not here. In Dynasty, you can edit them. And I guess you cannot in Road to Glory, which I guess that's why you have this setting to have the modifiers in place. But to me, that's just terrible because some of the stuff is literally insane and needs to be dialed back. But yeah, if you are okay with gaining less XP and paying money to upgrade your player instead, then just go ahead and turn off the wear and tear, and you won't have to waste energy points on your health every week. And then of course the other ones here is just for transfer portal stuff. I wouldn't worry about this too much. Sometimes I turn down the amount of players that can go to like 18, or maybe even turn down the percentage chance to like 50 or 48, just to kind of get that under control a little bit. Because if not, every year, I mean, you could go up to 30 players, and there could be 30 every year from at least half the schools. But yeah, that's that. So of course next you will pick your path, your road to glory. Are you starting as an underdog 2-star, 3 stars a contributor, or 4-star blue chip, and then of course 5-star elite prospect? And then based on these star ratings, you'll have a certain overall that you start at, which I think they're all insanely low and should be bumped up some, or at least scaled a little higher for the 4 stars and 5 stars. I don't mind the 2 and 3s being at, pretty low. It's just for me, the overalls are a lot different based on what your road to glory players recruited as. And then in Dynasty, when you recruit players, they're actually higher rated as the same stars. Like a 3-star that you recruit in Dynasty is going to be like 65 at the minimum, possibly even like high 60s, maybe even a 70. Probably not, but either way, it's higher than what you will be in Road to Glory as you start as a 3-star. Same thing as like 5-star. Yeah, I might as well just show them on the screen now. Because like, for example, 5-star running back, Savion Hyder. Know what I'm saying? True freshman, 5-star athlete. He starts as an 83 overall. Now granted, he's a little bit different than most 5 stars, man. I'm not saying we all need to start as an 83 overall, but it should be a little bit higher than the 74. Like you should be at least 76, probably like 78 to 82, depending on some things. Of course, if they make the high school stuff better and more in depth, they could scale like your performance on like a whole overall scale rather than like the star rating scale, to where you could be a lower end 5-star or a higher end 5-star, Maybe you are just a 76 overall 5-star, or you could be an 83 like Savion Hyder. It's just, that's a big difference. It's 9 higher than what you can start at here in Road to Glory. So yeah, I'll throw, like I said, I'm putting them ratings on the screen now. So I'm not going to read all of them off, but I'm just going to talk about it a little bit and highlight a couple of them. So if you want to just look at them all, you can pause the screen at any point and just, check them all out for yourself. But yeah, so like I said, for example, 5-star running back Savion Hyder is 83 overall, but you only will be a 74 overall as a 5-star running back in Road to Glory. And also I will mention real quick too with these, I just did one sort of build for each test. So it is possible that if you use different builds or create your player differently, you could possibly be like plus or minus 1 on these ratings. But I did the same exact build for each position and each star to get these numbers. But yeah, man, like I said, Hyder, 83 overall running back, real life 5-star. But in Road to Glory, you're just a 74, which is just not even close. But that's besides the point. But I'm just letting you know, at least these are the ratings that you can start at depending on what story you want to go with. So like, if you want to be that underdog 2-star, it's going to be a crazy grind. 54 overall for receiver and tight end. Everywhere else it's 55, other than Mike linebacker. I'll highlight that real quick. 57 overall, the highest 2-star that you can start at. But then 63, that's the only 63 3-star. All the other 3-stars are 61 and 62. But then at 4-star, it's a normal 68. The rest are all 68, other than receiver and tight end are 67. But then at 5-star, it's only a 73 for the Mike backer. It's like, if they're scaled higher for 2 and 3-star, I thought 5-star would have been at least 74 and possibly 75. But instead, they go the other way and make it lower with 73. The other 73s are like corner and receiver, but the rest are all 74. 3-stars, like I said, are all 68, other than receiver and tight end, which those are all lower on the 3-star end too. Like every 3-stars is 62, other than that Mike backer defensively, and then for quarterback you're 62, but all the receiver, running back, tight end are all 61. But yeah, man, I just think these should all be bumped up a little bit, and I will, talk more in depth on all of this stuff later on in a different video. It's just this is all about the setup for Road to Glory, so that way, here you go. You know what overall you would start at every position and every star rating. So the other main thing that you will want to remember when picking your star rating, you will get an extra mental ability if you are a 4 or 5 star. So you'll get 3 no matter what, and you will get the extra 4th one if you choose one of these. So we'll go ahead and do that. And like I said, we got the 3 new positions this year. So after you choose your path, you then choose your position, of course. And like I said, I just went over all the starting overalls and whatnot. So for this example, I'm just going to do the quarterback. I don't think I'm really doing anything position specific here. But then, of course, you create your player. Not a whole lot's going to matter here other than, like, if you skip the high school experience, you'll end up answering questions or prompts for basically getting your ideal pitch for the school, so that way they can tell you which ones are good fits and provide accurate grades and whatnot. So the only thing that this would really matter for is, like, if you want to go to Illinois and you end up answering that proximity to home is important, then that will help give you a better school fit grade and stuff like that. So that's the only thing that would really matter for, like, your location, is if you're going to make it so proximity to home matters. Then, maybe you want to change that. Of course, right or left-handed will matter for quarterbacks, but your jersey number and whatnot, change your name. Other than that, nothing important here. And then next is where you will pick your build. At the end of the video, I will show all of the legend builds, but we're not going to go over all of those right now. But yeah, so each position will have multiple presets, but if you want to create your own, that's what we're going to do for this. This will definitely give you a better look at what I'm kind of trying to show you when you're creating this. That way you know what to look at and what not to mess up on. As I will also provide some examples from my free safety and my tight end on where I messed up creating my builds. But yeah, we'll go into that now. So of course, you'll want to pay attention as you adjust your height and weight. It will change different attributes. And remember, you can play around with this as much as you want, and once you go to the next screen, you can come back and change it if you feel you need to. And of course, the weight will change some stuff as well, going up or down. You just kind of have to play around with it and do some different things when creating your players. That way you can find the best spot for you. And then the body type. Some positions will have different options here, but for the main thing here, pay attention as you are adjusting your attributes to what archetype it is showing you. For quarterback example, you got pocket passer, you got backfield creator, dual threat, and pure runner. So you'll want to, pay attention based on which one you want to be, and then what requirements are needed for certain abilities. By no means am I trying to give you some, like, great build. We're just going to, play around with this so that way you can see, like we see on the right side, off platform, getting up to that elite ability. Now, one thing I will remember, don't tweak out because that throw power can't get to 96. You see, the max is 95, but this year you can earn up to 25 cap breakers. So that's one thing that I wasn't looking at when I was creating my first couple Road to Glories. I wasn't thinking about that, and I was worried about hitting these requirements right here in this screen, where this is just setting your max potential. You might not even be able to get all this stuff maxed out, honestly. But remember, with those cap breakers, you then can eventually, once you get your throw power maxed out, which will be very tough to do, because I will tell you, like, throw power and speed are like the 2 main things that cost a lot more than everything else to upgrade. But you can use a cap breaker to get that to 96, so then you will be able to get off platform on that platinum level. And then another thing too, just, pay attention. Like, if I take juke move down, that's also linked to, change of direction, agility, acceleration, so those would also go down. But of course we would rather take that up, which of course it's not interacting with that. I thought that would take them back up, but when I take these back up, it'll eventually be tied to that juke move too. But I just figured I'd go over that so that way like, sometimes some things are linked. So you guys got to pay attention as you're moving these up. You see what I'm saying? As you can change, like right here we're a backfield creator, and I go up one more with break sack, and it changes us to dual threat, where we now have absolutely no available abilities, but you at least can, scroll back and forth between these screens. Even if you're not currently in that archetype, you can still go see what type of abilities you would have available to you. But you can still, of course, change this around as you go and get some of these abilities available to you. Yeah, I was mostly trying to make it like a dual threat build, just to kind of see and contrast some things. Takes me back to backfield creator here. It looks like that's probably the better build anyways. You can probably get some more abilities this way. Like with dual threat, it's like all in break tackle and break sack. I mean, we will go ahead and throw those up just to see the difference here. Yeah, like I said, you see break sack, for example, for extender, it's got to be 93, but break sack in this current build is maxed at 90. But again, earn those cap breakers. You can break that a couple times, get that up to that 93 if you're worried about getting it to platinum at some point. But really, gold is probably good enough, to be real with you. I don't think it's super important to have like every ability on platinum off the rip. Of course, probably one or two at least, and then the rest gold or silver should be fine, because like I said, just remember, you can break these caps. So yes, this is your max potential, but you can break it to be even better. So again, like I said, for that break sack, get it to 93. Break tackle 90. You see our max is 89. So unfortunately, you would have to use a cap breaker, but that is just a way to do it. So that way, I'm just saying, when you're creating your build, don't just go all out into making sure that you can have all these platinum abilities and whatnot. You can eventually cap break your way to get there. As long as you got some silvers and golds, that is good enough. And again, go back, see this backfield creator now just has the one gold and a couple silvers. Pocket passer only has the one bronze. Pure runner, you see there's downhill should be platinum there. Option king, gold. Some of them take a couple different attributes. They're not all just tied to one. So again, here, like for shifty on pure runner, we would have to take the speed up more. But yeah, you see there, you'd now be able to get shifty at silver, and you would still need to get your speed up more, which again, it's 90 cap, but you can get it to 91 or 92 with the cap breakers. That's pretty much all I really wanted to go over there. I mean, I could do more, but this is the main thing I wanted to kind of show you, is like, make sure you look around in the different archetypes and make sure that you gear your player to be how you want it to be, and then make sure the abilities are in a good spot, not necessarily off the rip. You can set it up to where you can eventually get those to gold and platinum later on, because early on you're only going to be able to get them to bronze or silver your first couple of years anyways, unless you're one of those people that are going to pay the money to just upgrade your player as much as possible off the rip, which, let's not do that. But yeah, if you're not liking what you're seeing, remember, you can go back. You can say, yes, let's go back. And then boom, you can change your height and weight to now gear it better towards what you wanted to do. Or whether you wanted more speed, or if you wanted more throw power, or if you wanted to be less of a runner, more of a pocket passer. You can change all that stuff around. I mean, look at this, 6'3", 230. You can still get to 85 speed. That's pretty nice. And sometimes it is better to check out those preset legend builds as well. Like, I just went and clicked on the Vince Young one, and here we are, a dual threat that has the platinum extender already, but only has the downhill at gold, dots at platinum, mobile resistance at bronze. But remember, you can break these caps and get them better. You of course can adjust this as well. You don't have to just stick with the exact preset legend build. You can adjust them based on whatever starting point they have. You can change it around a little bit if you feel needed. But yeah, it's a good base to start with, and a good way to look at different ways you can get different badges or abilities. It's like, even look at backfield creator under this Vince Young preset. Pretty dang good, man. You can get that off platinum bronze, and you'd eventually be able to get that to silver and gold. As you see, the max throw power is actually 98 here. You can break the caps per usual. But yeah, I'm just showing you some different scenarios, different ways you can go about getting abilities to certain spots, or getting into different archetypes, or seeing and comparing what they would look like and how many abilities are available to you there. Alright, so here's another thing that I didn't pay enough attention to during my creations. When you're setting the abilities, your mental abilities that is, they're tied to a different, agenda thing. For your weekly agenda, you'll have a different, of course you got to set, your health. You want to tier up your leadership and brand at some point. In your academics, you got to keep it in a good spot so you don't fail and all that good stuff. But depending on which ones you apply here, those are going to be the ones that you want to focus on. So like, let's say, for example, I'll show it on the screen. With my free safety, I chose, like, my story for the free safety is I didn't want to care much about academics. I was going to be all about just developing the player and, partying, having fun, living the life in college, and, just trying to have fun and also, play great. But I just wasn't going to worry about academics as much, where in the other ones, other Road to Glories, I usually do, so that way we can graduate early in just 3 seasons and then not worry about those academics in the last year. But yeah, looking at my free safety, man, I was not going to worry about academics at all. But of course, the mental ability I selected, which is instinct, helps a lot at safety, because you'll be able to identify run plays. And that in turn makes me then have to put more into my academics, so that way I can actually get that ability to be activated. Whereas if I could have possibly looked and seen if that was available for leadership or brand, I could have applied it there to where I actually want to put the energy and points into those categories rather than academics. So of course, like I'm saying here, just make sure that whatever ability you tie to each category, make sure that that's actually the category that you want to be putting your energy points into each week. So like, for example, here on the screen you see Field General there for academics, reveal key defenders. Field General is not available for the other ones. So for example, Clear-Headed is available for a multiple, the natural. So a few of these are available for all of them. There will be a couple that will only be available for like 1 or 2 of them. So you'll have to pay attention to that when you're creating your player. So yeah, just make sure the main thing here is just not necessarily which ones are important or which ones you should use. It's just more so about where you should place those abilities. Just make sure whatever ones you're going to want. Of course, Field General, since it's only there. Actually, I thought maybe we might get in the extra spot, but no. As a quarterback, you're definitely going to want that. So, of course, put that there. But yeah, so like, let's say you got the natural and Clear-Headed. Now, you can use that for both leadership and brand. So we'll go Clear-Headed there. Now it's not listed, of course, because you already have it equipped, but you go the natural. You could flip these if you want, depending on which one you want to put more points in. Are you more worried about your brand or more worried about leadership? As a quarterback, you might be a little bit more worried about leadership, so depending on which ability is more important to you, you're going to want to put that in the leadership spot, because you're going to be working on that more than the other categories. But yeah, at that point, you're pretty much done creating your player. It'll tell you your strengths and weaknesses, your top attributes, and all that good stuff. Gives you a good overview of, your mental abilities, physical abilities, hometown, height and weight, your archetype, all that good stuff. So it's, a nice summary at the end here. But yeah, if you've played Road to Glory before, you'll get prompted with these questions, and it's just letting them know basically your ideal pitch. That way they know what schools to have, high interest or good school fit grades. So here I'll click close proximity to my family and hometown, just so that way you can see that will actually matter here. Remember, I made this player from Illinois, and you see Illinois is right here, so not super high on the list. A B- for the school fit, and that's mostly because we'd be on the bench and not a starter. So I did do the 4-star for this example, and yeah, 68 overall to start. You would be behind that third string guy at 69. But yeah, at least just showing you these are the school fits. A lot of low grades for most of these teams because they're not very good. And if you answered the questions in a way that you want to play for like a good team eventually, or develop well, or have good facilities, then the 3, 4, and 5-star schools will have better grades. It's just if they then don't have the playing time or not close to your home, depending on how you answer those questions, those school fits will change. But at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter that much. The main thing that matters is just your started role. Like for example here, Hawaii, we would be second string compared to everywhere else. We would be bench other than like a few other schools. But yeah, that's the main thing you want to look at. Of course, my camera's blocking it, but you see it says second string, you know the deal. Then the interest level bar is the same as it is on the left side of the screen, so I don't really need to unhide that right now. But the main difference is if you don't do the high school experience, this will be accurate, and you'll start in this upcoming season. If you do the high school experience, then when you're in this, when you're looking at recruiting screens, this of course is signing day. This is a lot different. You're not getting the hat selection ceremony if you skip high school. So if you want to do that high school or the hat selection, you have to do high school. I wish they would still let you at least select like a top 3 and still give you that, what's it called? Cutscene. I couldn't think of what it was called, but they should still give you the cutscene. You should still be able to pick your top 3 and then go from there based on, what they give you here. And of course, you can still end up walking on wherever. It shows you, of course, in the top left of each team, that is the icon telling you that you actually have an offer from them, or scholarship offer that is. And I was trying to see if there was any that don't. Yeah, there's some teams at the bottom, lower interest levels, that have not offered scholarships. Like I said, you can still go there, just have to walk on, and definitely guaranteed to be on the bench at all of those schools. You of course can, filter this by 0-star and 1-star schools, or whatever one you want to look at, by the way. So that way you can quickly see, how many schools you could actually start at. But yeah, as a 4-star quarterback, it's kind of wild that you can only start at like 4 or 5 schools. Yeah, I mean, they gotta adjust these starting overalls, but I think they won't, because they just want us to buy their little points and use the microtransactions to just upgrade our player to where they should actually be when they start their career. So I think that's pretty much it. It wasn't really like gonna be a long video. I don't know how long it ended up being. I just wanted to, go over how to start your road to glory and get the settings right and give yourself the best experience possible based on what kind of story you're wanting to go for, and what you can do to stay away from those microtransactions and just be able to have fun and develop your player over, your few seasons in college without having to make those purchases. And yeah, it's just the practices, they're kind of tough and tedious, and they get annoying, and sometimes they're impossible to complete, but you can restart them. So if you do bad, just make sure you pause it and restart it before it goes to the end, because then you'll end up losing coach trust and not gaining no XP. But you are going to want to play the practices to gain your XP, because it's just a very low scale in this game. We don't have the XP sliders no more, and they're just taking more and more away. They're forcing you to keep certain things on, and yeah, if you turn them off, you're going to lose percentages on XP if you play on lower difficulties and all that good stuff. So yeah, make sure you play the practices. Other than that, I'll have a lot more Road to Glory information in another video where I am, talking about everything that they should be implementing going forward and everything they can do to save the mode. Because I love Road to Glory. I've been creating content from Road to Glory for over 13 years now. Not, the whole 13 years, but I started doing it over 13 years ago, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just very passionate about this mode, so I hope everyone finds a way to have fun with it regardless of all the bad things that are happening in College Football 27 right now. I think we could end up getting some of those things back some of those settings. They already put it back in Dynasty barely, just a little bit. They put one little setting in there that should help the XP go a little bit quicker, but it's not the same as what it was before. So baby steps, but I think if we keep pushing as a community to get rid of this microtransaction push, or you can leave the crap in the game for the people that don't care about spending the extra money, but just put back the features and settings that we had before for the people that want to just customize this in the way that we want without having to then pay money to get the story that we want to play. And yeah, I mean, it should be good going forward, and I hope everyone finds a good way to have fun with it, whether you're playing Road to Glory or Dynasty. But I hope this video did help you with how to get started and how to avoid mistakes that I made in my Road to Glory creations. But yeah, man, like I said, check those links in the description for those playlists if you want to go check those out. Also my Dynasty as well. But yeah, hit the like button if you enjoyed and subscribe for plenty more coming soon. And yeah, I appreciate you for watching. Have a nice day. Peace. I almost forgot about the legend builds, man. I'm not going to sit here and explain anything, but I will scroll through each one for each position, starting with quarterback on offense and going all the way through all the offense and defensive ones. And yeah, I'm just going to scroll through each player kind of quickly, so you'll just have to pause the screen on which player you want to see if you wanted to check out what their build is, or if you want to use it as reference when creating your own build without having to actually select the preset and then edit it from there. You can just kind of look at it from this video and then create it as you go. But yeah, like I said, just gonna scroll through them all, just pause on the player that you want to see. I do wish that there was some more options for some of the other positions. Some of them are very limited, but of course the more popular positions have a lot more players available, especially on the offense. But yeah, I'll just stop yapping.